Have you ever wondered what goes into writing a novel? How much thought is put into a story before those initial words settle on page? Have you ever tried to write a book and found yourself stuck, unable to cross that proverbial finish line? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, stick around because I'm about to discuss that and more. I've encountered a ton of people who just seem lost when it comes to creating their first novel. They find themselves staring at that blinking cursor on the start of a fresh page, intimidated by the prospect of what to write. Others make some progress but end up hitting a roadblock somewhere along the way, and the few that actually manage to cross the finish line don't know where to go from there. I've experienced all of these things, and it's my hope to show you how to overcome them. My name is Levi Samuel. I've been writing books for over a decade now. I had a bit of luck early in my career. I was nearing the end of my first book and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like so many before me, I had this delusion that my masterpiece was going to just become an overnight success. I'd be able to retire. I'd never have to punch the time clock again. I'd never have to work overtime again. But considering you've probably never heard of me, I'd say it's quite obvious that didn't happen. But thinking back, there were a few details that I believe have contributed to where I am today. I was attending a small convention with some of my friends, and my brother introduced me to one of the guest authors. I didn't know who this guy was. I'd never met him before. I'd never heard of him before, but he was an established author. And my brother, he told this guy that I was writing a book, and he asked me a few questions about it, to which I didn't know the answers. Now, from where I sit today, these questions were really rudimentary. Almost anybody with any experience in this industry would have known the answers to these, but I was an inexperienced kid. I was writing my first story, it was an enjoyable story, and that was really all I knew. But I did remember the questions that he had asked me, and that night when I got back to my hotel room, I opened my manuscript and I poured through it, and I got the answers to the questions he had asked. And I'm not gonna bore you with what those questions were, but I will include a download below where you can get not only those questions, but several other frequently asked questions I receive. Now, if we skip forward a few years, me and this author stayed in contact, and he was watching my progress, and eventually he asked me to submit a short story to his publisher. And after a few times back and forth, telling me what worked, what didn't work, I was eventually offered my first contract for a published work. And, this is what we in the industry call traditionally published. There's a huge difference between a small press, which is what this was, a large press, the big five, and, many other publishing options, whether they be vanity press or, indie publishing or, any of that. But the interesting thing was, even though this was a small publishing company, it still changed my career in so many ways. Doors that were previously closed to me were now open. I was able to get into conventions myself and start selling books in person. I started making contacts. The list just went on. But I would like to say this particular aspect is too important not to state here and now. A word of caution for anybody who's either already finished a book or looking into various publishing options. Make sure you do your research. I don't have this experience because my first publisher treated me well enough, but there are too many people that they fall into this trap, particularly with vanity press, but there are other issues to worry about. Basically, a rule of thumb, if a publisher is trying to charge you an upfront fee, you are getting scammed. No legit publisher will ever charge you a fee up front. If they're going to publish your book, they will pay the cover cost, they will pay the editing cost, they will pay the formatting cost. If a publisher tells you yes, they will cover those costs. It is their job to put the book together and get it out there and making money. And then any money they make on it will be on the back end from book sales. A legit publisher will never charge the author. So if they're trying to charge you, walk away. Anyway, to get back to the topic at hand, a few titles and contracts later, I started to learn the ropes of the publishing world. I started to learn what publishers were looking for, what was acceptable, what was not acceptable, and over time, along with the numerous friends I'd made and the numerous aspects within the entertainment industry in general that I had learned, I started to learn the indie publishing side of things. And then at a point in time, whenever I had created enough stuff for myself, I jumped into that pool. So, now I work as what we call a hybrid author, where I have been traditionally published. I still work with a few traditional publishers, but I run an indie press on the side. At the time of this recording, I have written 22 complete novels. Many of them have been published. I've been published in a couple role-playing manuals. I'm not going to name drop any of those. It doesn't really matter at this point in time. But, I've developed a small, loyal following. And, really, that's all we can hope to gain right now until you grow bigger and that following just kind of expands on you. But in addition to all of this, I need to mention that I'm a single father. I've raised my daughter since she was born, and I'm currently the primary caretaker for my elderly grandfather, who is in the late stages of dementia, nearing his end of life. And the only reason I mention these aspects is so that you're aware of my personal time constraints, and, especially when it comes to my available writing time. It also serves as a bit of a heads up in case any of these videos happen to get cut short or interrupted, or if you hear odd background noises from time to time. Basically, I'm a real person. I have real world responsibilities, and sometimes I have to abruptly stop whatever it is I'm doing in order to attend to their needs. But, it also serves to show you that just because you have a busy or demanding life, you are fully capable of completing a book within a set amount of time. I've done it many times, and it can be annoying at times, but it can be done. Anyway, that's enough about me for now. We're here to discuss writing. If you've stuck around this long, I'm sure you're ready for me to get to the point already, and I've got some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is I'm going to do my best to give you a step-by-step walkthrough into the creation of a novel from start to finish. Everything from, concepting, just figuring out, we're going to go through the entire thing. If you watch this series from start to finish, it will be throughout the total and complete creation of a novel. The bad news is I can't do that in one sitting. It's going to take several videos to get this entire thing out. Fortunately, there's an event coming this next month called NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month. It's an annual event which takes place every November, and the objective is to write 50,000 words over the course of 30 days. I've participated in this event in the past, and in fact, my book, The Pandora Gambit, was written and edited during NaNoWriMo 2018, and it was released in May of 2019. Whether you intend to participate in NaNoWriMo or not, you can rest assured that every day for the duration of this event, I'm going to upload a 3 to 10 minute video where I basically just discuss the many thoughts, details, progressions, concepts, ideas, basically anything that passes through my head about this particular story. I'm going to be talking about it in these videos in the hopes of showing you the step-by-step process of creating a book from start to finish. If it's done properly, it will give you everything you need without the drooling, key pounding that's going to take place during the actual writing of the story. I don't think it would do anybody any good for the camera to be on me for hours on end while I'm just trying to knock it out, but everything except for the boring parts I'm going to try to provide you. One thing that I want you to keep in mind, the disclaimer if you will. I am a professional writer. I've been doing this a long time. Over the years, I've trained myself. I've learned little techniques here and there. I know what combinations work best for me in what place, and I can write fairly quickly with an efficient use of vocabulary that allows me to relatively pace myself while maintaining efficient and basically just strong story elements. A new writer is not going to be able to keep up. So I would not recommend trying. I don't really think you guys should try to keep up with me in writing this story anyway, because this is going to be my story. As a beginner, you're not going to be able to write a first draft with a quality worthy of publishing within the course of a month. It's just not going to happen. If you do manage to write an entire novel within the course of a month, congratulations. But as a beginner, you're going to need a lot of editing, a lot of revisions, a lot of rewrites. It's not likely to happen. But, I've trained myself for this. My comfortable pace is to do a total book within the course of about 3 months. That's editing, that's formatting, that's cover. I can do a book comfortably within 3 months. I typically write the entire book within a month anyway. But anyway, some authors publish every 9 to 14 days. Some write 1 book a year. Some don't release, more than 1 book every 10 years. Try not to compare yourself to others. We all learn at our own pace. Find the pace that works for you, and then if you feel like getting faster at that point, do what you've got to do. For the story itself, at this point in time, I have little more than a concept in mind. I won't go into that. I'll discuss that in the official episode 1 video. But, I've got a few character ideas down. I've got the general plot idea down. I have no clue who my main antagonist is. I have no clue really what's going to happen beyond the intro of the book. But, throughout this series, we're going to go through all of that and figure out how to piece together the story from start to finish within this 30-day, session. If you would like to join me on this endeavor, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and make sure your notifications are turned on. I'll be posting the first official episode on November 1st, and a new video will be coming out every day for the entire month of November. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.